You know those older commercials that used to say by their second kid, every mom is an expert? I just do not feel that way. What's up, you guys? Welcome back. So in today's video, we are talking all about our 6-week postpartum update, which seems so crazy to me because on one hand, it's like, I can't believe it's already been more than 6 weeks since we had that amazing water birth and my pregnancy is finally over. But on the other hand, it seems like it's been way longer than 6 weeks. It has been a struggle. Clearly you can tell by these dark circles and this greasy hair that we are still in an adjustment phase. I've got a lot to go over, so I won't ramble too much. Today is October 29th, a Tuesday, so technically we are 6 weeks and 4 days postpartum, so I'm a little bit late, but like I said, it's been quite a struggle. I'll go ahead and go over everything that's been going on with me postpartum so I can get that part out of the way. I know I mentioned in my very short little video introducing the baby that I had a few of those postpartum slash breastfeeding headaches, I guess. Technically they're caused by nursing, I'm not sure. And I said that they had stopped. Well, I kind of spoke too soon in that video. So I've had them a lot more, like over the past few weeks. I had one like almost every single day, and then they stopped, and then I'm having a few of them like intermittently here and there. But the past 3 days I've had like one constant headache, but I think that's caused by sinuses because like I'm feeling a lot of pressure in my nose, and like the weather is back and forth here, so it's really annoying. I broke down and took Tylenol today, and right now I'm feeling pretty good, but I was having more of those like intermittent nursing headaches, which was really annoying. You want to help me? And then I know that my face looks horrible right now because I have like residual makeup on, and I didn't feel like putting on a fresh face and like washing my hair. If I was to wait for a day that I could like shower, do my hair, and put my makeup on to film this video, it would just never come up because I can only do that when I have Dylan here to help me. But as far as the acne that I mentioned in that first video, that has for me lessened a lot, although I do get like random breakouts here and there. Like I have like a breakout right here. I don't know if it can show up on camera, so that's kind of coming and going, but it is nowhere near as bad as it was after I had the baby. My alopecia, so I haven't even touched on this at all, I don't think, in quite a few weeks. Right before I had the baby, I had a new spot develop right along my hairline towards the back of the neck, and it was about the size of like a dime or a penny, but it has not grown. So that's already been like 7 or 8 weeks or so, and it hasn't changed at all, so I'm not really too concerned about it. My other major alopecia spots started to grow back on their own, so I'm hopeful that it'll just eventually do that. But as far as that one major spot that I had originally, the hair is basically completely grown back over that spot, so I no longer have to like worry about camouflaging it when I put my hair up. But obviously the hairs are super short, like it's not completely grown back to the length of my hair. That part's gonna take forever. So when I do put my hair up, I've got like these little spikes of hair that stick out from the back of my head, but it doesn't concern me because I'm obviously just glad that I no longer technically have a huge bald spot there that I have to worry about hiding. And it's just much easier to just like throw my hair up and go because it's kind of camouflaged by my dark hair. Another symptom that I've been having, which is really strange, is I'm having a lot of numbness in my hand. It's only in my right hand. From what I've read, it's not really like a postpartum symptom. It just signifies that I might have like a pinched nerve or something. And I had been going to the chiropractor, so I'm not sure why this is still an issue, but that is another super random symptom that I've been having the past few weeks. As far as my postpartum bleeding was concerned, it didn't stop until 4 weeks postpartum, the day before my final midwife appointment. I don't know how I got lucky because I really thought that I was still going to be bleeding at that point, and she would not have been able to give me my pelvic exam to clear me so that I can like go to the health department and figure out the best birth control option for me. But luckily it literally stopped the day before, and it never came back because like I said in my last video, it was at the point where it was like stopping, giving me about 24 hours with no bleeding, and then coming back full force. And that was really annoying, obviously, but it finally stopped at 4.5 weeks postpartum, and it has not come back. So as far as my weight, I made it up to 206 pounds on the last day of my pregnancy, and as of this morning, I am a flat 185 pounds, so I've lost roughly 21 pounds or so far. I've been waiting until I hit 6 weeks to start like going on regular walks and stuff, because I can't really return to the gym until Ruby has received her first round of shots. I mean, I can, but like I'm not comfortable with her being around a whole bunch of other kids in the gym's daycare without having her first round of immunizations. So I'm not really exercising too much at this point. And I've been trying to wait until like I feel good on a consistent basis to try to put that into some sort of routine. And it worked for one day, and then the next day I just couldn't, because like I said, it's either Aubrey throwing a fit and not having a good day, or the baby is just a little bit fussy and I can't find a solution, or she's doing really well that day and napping consistently and eating really well, and on those days I'm just so tired that I would rather just sit on the couch and play on my phone. So like I said, we're still just trying to find a balance. I have been having really awful, major, constant stomach pains. This started pretty much right after I had the baby, and I actually did experience this after I had Aubrey, except I had gone to get seen after I had Aubrey for my stomach pains, and it ended up being diverticulitis. So when I started to have these horrible stomach pains this time around, that's obviously just what I expected that it was going to be all over again, because it felt exactly the same. So I went to an urgent care one night when the pain just kind of became, I wouldn't say unbearable, because I've been through childbirth with no drugs, so I try to compare everything to that, but it was really uncomfortable and affecting my day-to-day. So I went to go get seen at urgent care. I told them that I've had diverticulitis before and that it was also postpartum with my first daughter, so they obviously did a CAT scan and it came back clear. So I didn't get a diagnosis. I have no idea what's causing this stomach pain, but at this point we are almost 7 weeks postpartum and I'm still having these stomach pains, and I'm having a lot of pelvic cramping still. So I'm not sure what I can do about it at this point. It might just be, I mean, postpartum. Things just don't disappear just because you hit 6 weeks. I am still in my 4th trimester and things are probably still adjusting. It can take your body a lot longer the second time around than it does the first time, but that's just something that I'm dealing with right now, and it's really, really uncomfortable. Even right now as I'm sitting here, I'm in quite a bit of pain, and it's just really annoying because I just feel like that's part of the thing that's keeping me from like getting back to some sense of like normalcy and feeling like I can have my body back. Some days are better than others. There will be a day where I feel great that I've actually been able to shower without needing Dylan to be here, and the girls are just both giving me a super easy day, and I just feel like, okay, maybe today's the day where it's gonna start getting easier, and then the next day it kind of just like all goes back to shit. So we're just kind of back and forth at this point, but that's basically everything for me. In a nutshell, I'm not quite back to feeling like myself yet. So breastfeeding so far up to this point has been very, very rocky. I have wanted to throw in the towel and quit. There were some really, really rough days. I know I mentioned in my last video that her latch was really poor, that my nipples were cracked and bleeding and extremely uncomfortable. And then it started to get a little bit easier. The chiropractor visits helped tremendously open up her jaw all the way. She eats like a champ at this point. And obviously it was never like a huge problem enough to keep her from gaining weight, because she's huge. I mean, she's gained weight perfectly, and she's much bigger than Aubrey was when she was a baby, so it clearly was never a problem with like my milk supply or anything like that. But that part has only continued to get better, and she is still seeing the chiropractor, but at this point it's only once every 2 weeks. So far I've been able to save about 150 ounces of milk in my freezer, most of which was from that little Haka silicone pump that I put on the opposite breast of where she's feeding, but I was only doing it at night. So she technically only wakes up twice overnight, and I would put it on the opposite side and get about 4 ounces of milk overnight extra, and then be able to freeze that the next day. And I really didn't touch the Haka throughout the day because she still hasn't really gotten on a really consistent feeding schedule, although it's a lot better now. But over the past few weeks it's still kind of been up and down, and I've been choosing to just feed on demand. And because I was doing that, I never really had extra milk, you know, in the opposite side. She was kind of just feeding from both, but that was enough for me to save at least 1 bag every single day. So sometimes I was pumping 1 to 2 times a day and get a little bit of extra milk, and on those days I was able to actually save 2 bags of breast milk. So at this point, that's how much I have saved in the freezer. But I think that my milk has really regulated at this point, so I'm not really making anything extra, and I'm not responding to the Haka pump at all anymore overnight. If she gives me a longer stretch overnight after I put put her down for bed and I'm not able to keep her awake long enough to at least feed from both sides for a few minutes and I feel really full, then I'll make myself stay up and pump because I don't want to lose that milk. She's just really difficult to nurse. Like, some days are better than others, and I know I'm probably going to say that 100 more times, but there are just days where I know that she's hungry. I know that that's why she's fussy and why she's crying, or it's literally time for her to eat. But when I sit down and get into a position and I'm ready to start nursing her, she just refuses. She hates almost every single position that we've tried, or a position that works all day long one day, it is just a total shit show the next day. Like, she refuses to nurse that way. And so because it was becoming so difficult and frustrating, I considered exclusively pumping because she's great with a bottle and she was able to go back and forth. I don't think it was a nipple confusion issue, but I'm just so scared to have any sort of dip in my supplies. I want to keep my milk as long as possible, and as frustrating as it is, and as much as I've already thought about just like not breastfeeding this baby, because I feel like maybe that would give me a chance to, you know, finally feel like I'm getting back to myself and getting into a better routine and giving as much attention to Aubrey. I just know that if I gave up breastfeeding at this point, I would feel incredibly guilty. Like, I would beat myself up over it, even though there is absolutely nothing wrong with formula feeding your baby. Feeding your baby is what's best as long as you're taking care of your kid. But I know that if I gave up at this point, I would not be happy with myself and I would miss nursing if I just stopped right now. I told myself a few weeks ago that I was just going to give myself until the 6-week mark, because usually when the baby hits 6 weeks, that's when everything starts to kind of smooth out a little bit and you can kind of start to get into a routine and they become a little bit more predictable. But I just kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I felt like my motherly instincts had kicked in better when I had Aubrey as a first-time mom, but with this baby, I feel like I should have been an expert and it should have just come, you know, more easily to me. But I just feel like I can't read her. I don't, you know, like I said, what works one day or what routine works one day does not work the next day. And so it's like every single day I'm kind of like walking on eggshells, like, what baby am I gonna get today? I have no idea. We'll just kind of have to go with the flow. Like yesterday, she literally followed the perfect eat, play, sleep routine all day long. From morning until nighttime, it was perfect. She was just eating and sleeping like clockwork. And I thought, okay, that I felt hopeful when I got up today. But then overnight she slept horribly, and all day long it's been hard to keep her on that schedule like we had yesterday. So it's been really, really hard. I'm just kind of like at a loss right now. So as far as baby Ruby's update is concerned, first of all, she's absolutely perfect. One of the most adorable babies I've ever seen, and I'm not biased when I say that, aside from how perfect Aubrey was when she came out. So I obviously make really adorable babies. She is anywhere between 10 and 11 pounds by now, maybe even more than that. We haven't been to the doctor in a few weeks, obviously, because there's been no need to. But at her last appointment, she weighed 9 pounds, 11 ounces. And that was insane to me because it feels like it took us forever for Aubrey to reach 9 pounds. During the day, during her wait times, she is much more alert. Basically, it was like a light switch went off as soon as she turned 6 weeks. It was like she's finally getting a personality. She loves to lay on her back. Like, I bought her one of those play mats that has like the dangly things hanging over it. She's not too interested in it. She loves to lay on her back on the couch right in front of our sliding glass door and just kind of like look out and lay in the sunlight. And now she loves it when you talk to her. As soon as she makes eye contact with you, she is so smiley, and I swear she has the cutest, most beautiful smile. It like literally melts my heart. It makes me want to cry because we've spent so much of this time over the last 6 weeks like having to try to soothe her and find out what makes her so fussy. So to see her smile is like, I almost can't handle it. She no longer hates the car seat. Like the first couple days if we had to go somewhere, she would be like quiet as a mouse and fall asleep in the car seat. So I was like, hallelujah, we have a baby that does not hate the car seat. Aubrey was awful in the car seat for the first few months. Doesn't matter where we were going or how long of a trip we were going on, she would literally scream the entire time. So I thought that we had gotten lucky this time with a baby that did not mind riding in the car seat. But then she really started to hate it. And so it was kind of like hit or miss. Like sometimes if she was, maybe if we got lucky and she fell asleep, she wouldn't really care. But if we were like stuck in traffic, she would get mad. Stuck at a red light, she'd get mad. But lately she hasn't minded too much. What are you doing? But lately she hasn't minded too much, and as long as if I have to go somewhere and I'm able to work it around her eating schedule, I try to feed her right before we leave, and then she's content. And most of the time she is either just curious and looking right out the window, or she's able to let herself fall asleep in the car seat, so she doesn't hate it as much anymore. 5 black cats on a misty night sit in a row beneath the moonlight. 5 black cats spot a tiny white mouse scurrying into a spooky old house. Squeak, squeak, squeak. All of a sudden, someone turns on the light. What a surprise! It's the ghost party night. Good book. One of the things that we're struggling with the most, or what I'm struggling with the most with baby Ruby, is just that it seems like she literally does not like to be touched, which we've joked around about this because like I hate to be touched, so it's almost like she literally already has my personality. But I've never met a baby who like acted like they didn't like to be held or cuddled. She hates skin to skin. I have not been able to do that in an effort to comfort her at all. The only time I've really been able to do a long skin to skin session was immediately after she was born. I'm hoping that she just kind of grows out of it and becomes a cuddly baby at some point, because I'm trying to enjoy the newborn phase as much as I can. But she's just like feisty. She just does not like to be comforted in ways that other normal babies like to be comforted. I don't know. Her baby acne, I don't know if it even showed up in that video where we finally had introduced her. At that point it was very minor. It got really, really bad, and it had spread like kind of into a rash on her chest and on her head underneath her hair, all of which is completely normal according to the doctor, so I was never really worried about it. That I was just attempting to keep it very clean, washing it with a warm washcloth every single day and kind of just letting it air out. And at this point it is starting to go away. She's still got quite a bit of it on her chest, but as far as her face is concerned, it's really going away. The only thing that I did put on it on the days that it felt a little bit extra dry was coconut oil, and very, very minimal. And then of course the next day during her bath I would wash that off, and I wouldn't put it on every single day just because I didn't want to like clog the pores or irritate it even more. But as of right now it looks really good. So I know I mentioned in our introduction video that she was a bit of a colicky baby. I hate to use that word because I know that colic is just like a general term for when you have an extremely fussy baby and they don't really know why. Like there's not a reason that they can pinpoint and then find a solution and then it goes away. And that's what it kind of seemed like we were getting into. But I just feel like it wasn't colic. The more I read about it, because of course I was trying to find solutions to make her feel better. Like I looked into using the gas drops, which worked for a little while, and then we just didn't feel the need to use them every day. So now we've got them on hand, but we only really use them consistently for maybe about a week. Everybody recommended gripe water, which I did not have a good experience with when I tried that for Aubrey because of how easy it is for them to choke on it. So I've tried that a few times with Ruby. I feel like maybe it brought her some comfort, but I didn't really notice a difference with that too much, so I stopped giving that to her daily. I looked into the Windy on the times that I have used it. It does seem to bring her relief, but then I read an article that said that using that can kind of have a reverse effect, because then the babies become dependent on using a device to relieve gas or to help them poop. And I don't want to create something that becomes a problem later on. So then I was too afraid to use that every single time she was fussy. I have continued to use it on days where she is truly inconsolable and I could just tell that she's really uncomfortable. But basically every baby is born and grunts and struggles and cries when they feel like they need to pass gas or poop. I mean, because they have to correlate these feelings with what they need to do and then practice using those muscles, and they literally need to teach themselves how to do it. So introducing a device that helps them do it isn't necessarily the best option unless you really feel like you need to help them. So as far as like whether or not I think it's a good idea, it's helped us. It's never helped her poop, but it has helped her pass gas, and then she stopped being fussy. So I really only use it when I feel like we are so desperate, because I do feel better using that than pumping her full of any sort of over-the-counter medicine like Milacon or gripe water or anything like that, just because I hate giving them medicine when I don't truly know what the reason is. I don't really think it was truly colic, because I know colicky babies are really much more difficult than I feel like Ruby has been. I know I might complain, and I am really exhausted, but there were only a handful of times where she was so inconsolable that it stressed me out and like brought me to a point of tears, and there was nothing I could do. That's only happened a few times. She seemed like she was fussy a lot during the day, but not to a point where it was like she is kind of screaming bloody murder and clearly in pain or clearly uncomfortable. She was just fussy, and some days it was worse than others, and some days it wasn't at all, which leads me to believe it wasn't colic. So I don't think that's truly what it was. As far as how she's been lately, she's been a lot less fussy, but the problem that we're having is that her behavior from day to day is very different, and that's the frustrating part, because I feel like I don't really know like who this baby is and what she prefers and what she likes and when she's comfortable and things like that. So I'm still trying to just figure out what our day-to-day life is going to start looking like. But that's basically it for all of our updates. I just wanted to kind of, I guess, vent a little bit. I feel like I'm like so like whiny and complainy, but it has truly been a struggle. And I don't think that it's necessarily like, oh, well, it's hard when you bring home a second baby and it's hard with 2 kids. It's hard for a number of reasons, because on one hand, adding another kid was just kind of like, we just have another kid. But I feel like emotionally and mentally I am struggling a little bit. I don't want to call it like postpartum depression or baby blues, because I don't think that's what it is, but I'm just not waking up happy, and I'm waking up like automatically frustrated, unless it's one of those days where, you know, everything seems to go right and we had a good night's rest or something like that. Like, I'm well prepared for sleepless nights with a newborn. It doesn't surprise me, although it's really freaking hard to get out of bed when you're super exhausted. But I think the part that I'm struggling with the most is just the fact that we've hit 6 weeks by now, and we still don't have any sort of consistency from day to day. And I feel like that's such a problem for me because of my anxiety, or because of my like control issues, which I think is also part of my anxiety, like just needing to feel like I have my shit together. It kills me that I'm not able to wake up every day and like get the kids settled and have an hour or 2 where they are both content enough for me to throw in a load of laundry, dry it, fold it, and put it away, or vacuum all of the floors and make the bed, or clean the kitchen, do all the dishes, and the kitchen stay clean until Dylan gets home. Every single day by the time he gets here, the house is just trashed as if I wasn't able to do anything. And that bothers me so much, because my job is to be the stay-at-home wife and mom, and God, I don't want to be like super sappy because that's annoying, but I remember struggling when I had Aubrey because she cluster fed so much, and I just flat out was not able to get up and like clean the house, and because I struggled with postpartum depression with her. This time around, it's like I wish that my baby would cluster feed, but instead she's just like fussy, and most of the time I don't know how to comfort her. Like, I can't just put her at the breast every time she's fussy, because she just doesn't want it. But like, I don't know how to, I don't know what position she wants to lay down in. Sleeping on her stomach helps her most of the time, but the next day she won't like to sleep on her stomach. So it's just the inconsistency that's like really getting to me, and I feel like 90% of the day I'm so frustrated, and on the good days that she follows a good schedule and that Aubrey is in a good mood, by that point I'm so tired, and I just feel like the only me time I want to take for that day is to sit on the couch and you know, watch my own shows on my phone, but then I'm neglecting Aubrey when I have the perfect opportunity to come into her room and read a book to her or play with her. And so that's the other thing that's really bothering me, is that most of the time all of my attention has to be on the baby, and I'm not giving any extra attention to Aubrey. And then by the time both girls go to bed, which is basically at the same time every single day, I'm like, oh my god, like half of my brain is telling me all of the things that I need to get done, because if I just stayed up longer and cleaned the whole kitchen and put all of the toys away and folded the blankets or switched the laundry, whatever the chore may be, it'll feel so good when I wake up in the morning and everything is cleaned and put away. But then on the other side of that, I hear myself saying, you better go to bed or you're going to regret not having that 4 or 5 hour stretch of sleep. Or the other side is fighting, and it's like, you know, you haven't spent any time with Dylan, so stay up and watch a show with him. But then every single time we tried to stay up and watch a show together, the baby would wake up and start crying. I'm craving a routine. I'm craving some sort of not super tight schedule, because I know that newborn babies and toddlers and life is just completely unexpected, and it's going to be different from day to day, but just something that I can sort of follow and have it planned out, just so that I feel like I have control, that I have my shit together, that I'm able to get stuff done. Because until that happens, I don't really know who I am right now. I feel like I'm completely drained, and I just feel like I'm kind of like losing my identity a little bit, because I'm just so consumed by just trying to have everything be perfect, and I don't know how to let that part of me go. I don't really know how to let myself like just go with the flow and be okay with that. Like, I have to go with the flow. I don't have a choice, but it just triggers my anxiety, and it's making me stay in this this mental funk that I'm in. So at this point, almost 7 weeks postpartum, that's where we're at. Every single day has been different, which is like so frustrating and exhausting, but I'm hoping that if I just stay patient and just constantly pray and remind myself that these days with Ruby as a newborn, and even these days with Aubrey in this like really fun phase that she's in of learning new things every day, it's gonna go by so fast. And so even though it's hard, I know that I'm gonna miss it when it's not here anymore. I'm just trying really hard, and I hope that within the next few weeks things continue to get easier, so that I feel like I'm satisfied with how the day went, and I feel like everybody got an equal amount of attention, including myself, because I have to start taking better care of myself. Y'all, I can't even remember the last time I showered. It's things like that that I know would make me feel way better. I tell everybody, I tell every other mom that they need to take care of themselves first, because a happy mom has a happy baby. Like, you take better care of everybody else after you've taken care of yourself, but I'm a hypocrite and I don't take my own advice. So that's where we're at. That is our 6-week update. Very moody. I'm sorry that turned very emotional very quickly, and I'm sorry that I'm not more cheerful and that I had to come on camera with no makeup and greasy hair, but that is the truth of how it's been, life with 2 kids. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, I know it's a long one. I hope you grabbed a snack. If you liked it, or if you can relate, or if you have any sort of advice for me, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and a comment down below, because I would love to just hear from other people if you are also struggling and feel like your life is kind of a shit show right now. But don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.